Well, in my mental playlist, the theology-rich El Shaddai, written by Michael Card, is always sung in the voice of the woman sitting opposite me. She's credited with putting contemporary Christian music on the map, and it is a joy here at Breakforth to be sitting with Amy Grant.
Thank you.
You are responsible for so much of the music of my life and of so many watching today, and it's just a treat to catch up with you.
Thanks, it's great to be here.
I have to brag on you a little bit here.
Uh-oh.
First artist to have a platinum record, contemporary Christian, first to hit #1 pop, and first contemporary Christian artist to perform at the Grammys. Do you have, is it 6 now? 6 Grammys?
I think so.
You don't have to be shy to count, Amy. Numerous Dove Awards and a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. We are so proud of you.
Well, thank you. It's fun to do something you love your whole life.
You were just a girl, young girl, when you made a recording that the right person got to hear, and at 15 you were off and away.
Yeah, it was a different time. You know, it was an unobserved time back in 1976. You know, we didn't have all of the hoopla with social media, and so off and away was really, you know, I finished high school and college and just wrote songs and did music and toured in the summertime, and so it was really a very nurturing, quiet way to start. Unlike the high-pressure cooker that people find themselves in today.
Where was home?
Nashville.
When you grew up? And you were the youngest of how many girls?
4 girls.
Are they musical?
Well, we all can carry a tune. We all took piano lessons. 3 of us played a little bit of guitar. You know, my first 2 instruments were borrowed from my sisters. And
Parents must have encouraged this. Music in the family?
they did. My earliest memories are of singing in church. The church that we attended didn't have a choir or a piano, so we all just sang. If you didn't sing, it was silent. And I remember standing next to my great-grandmother, who was tiny, and hearing her really, she had a low, warm alto voice. And really, even now, my mom passed away almost 2 years ago, but at the end of her life, and even with my father now, singing hymns is really the best way to connect. It was the best way to connect with my mother and even still with my dad, because music...
It stays.
It stays, and he can't do any of the lyrics anymore because he has dementia, but even really complicated songs. Like we used to sing this song. He was a song leader occasionally at our church, and there's a song called "Break Thou the Bread of Life," and the melody has some really crazy intervals, and he can't call the lyric anymore, but he'll start humming with me, yes, and sometimes he'll do this, and it kills me. Yeah, and so I'm so glad for the gift of music. I'm so glad for all those old hymns that I don't have to have a songbook to know the lyrics for. When I was, oh my goodness, maybe 21, my mother was about the age I am now, and she was supposed to introduce a speaker at just a women's luncheon in Nashville, and the speaker was going to talk on aging. And my mother was just she was a beautiful, gracious woman, but she was a little nervous to be in front of people. And she asked me, would you write a poem or something for me to read on aging? Well, I was just barely legal, you know. I said, let me imagine. And I wrote a poem picturing my mother. And I mean, was this corny for me to, you want to hear it?
Please.
Anyway, the reason I say that, I was going to tell you about it, is because I found the poem in my 40s. And I was amazed at how my imagination had really hit the nail on the head until the back half. And there's some things you only learn by living. And so it was just, It occurred to me this morning as I washed this face of mine how quickly come the changes with a little passing time. A wrinkle here, a hair turned gray, a not so lilting step. I see me getting older, but I don't quite feel it yet. At times I nearly feel my age, at others I'm 16. So full am I of all the thoughts and feelings in between. Then the rewrite. Who could have known the road of life would twist and turn so much? The journey makes me strong and weak and tender to the touch. And so today I face the choice that I have faced each day. Will I be open, teachable, unafraid of change? Yes, I'll embrace this moment, forgive my past mistakes. Realize just showing up is sometimes all it takes. And I'll look for the kind of beauty that time cannot erase, wisdom and experience resting on each face. So I look at all that and go, I mean, we all have an arsenal of stories of what we did right and what we did wrong. And, for a believer, it really just makes the amazing puzzle of what God can create and recreate even more magnificent.
Redeem.
Absolutely.
And use for His glory.
Always, yes.
Amy, I'm so glad you've gone to lyrics, because I want to know if there's a memory, if there was a particular motivation for a phrase that has been with me, I'm thinking over 30 years. I know I can go on YouTube and see this very young girl with a lot of curly brown hair and a guitar singing Arms of Love. What year was that? Do you remember?
Let me see. That came out in, I recorded that in 1981. It came out in 1982, 30 plus years ago.
That's later than I thought, but here's the line. Lord, please help me raise my hands so you can lift me up. I love it because it's not, Lord, I'm reaching. It's, I don't even have it to get my hands in the air.
Yeah.
But I know where to turn in this very low place. Fabulous lyrics, typical of what you do. Is there a story behind the writing of this?
Well, if there was, I'm sure I've long forgotten it. But I think, I owe so much of my understanding of, my early understanding of my relationship with God, I owe it to my mother, because she was so, she was a very private person, but she was so honest. And not from a platform, but with me. I'm sure, I guess she was honest with my sisters too, but I wasn't part of those conversations. And she just, she observed without judgment, which is really an amazing thing to watch your entire growing up. So, and I just think, I don't know, I think she just helped me understand that my relationship with God was never based, with Jesus was never based on my performance. And
your love just because.
Just because, yeah. And she was always kind of whetting my appetite too, We'd be driving home from church, and I was probably in middle school, and she said, honey, he doesn't have any grandchildren, just children. And that was all she said, but basically now I know she was saying, you cannot be the child of somebody of faith.
You have to make a choice.
You have to make a choice. And then when I was older, and she would say things like, if you can learn to hear His Spirit and follow, your life will be so much more exciting than any 007 movie you could ever watch.
What kind of influence do you feel you have in that whole music world there? You're in the heart of it. And you're a Christ-centered couple. Do you find that people know what you represent, that you have opportunity to talk about the real deal?
Sure.
I mean, God and country are just a connection all the time, but
Right,
you know
right.
what I'm saying.
Well, Nashville is really a songwriting town. And, you know, I talk about, oh my goodness. I mean, to me, the most interesting way to pique someone's curiosity about faith is just to tell a story about something that happened. And that's all songwriters are, storytellers. And I was telling somebody not long ago that I said, I'm so scattered. When I was younger, my sisters called me the black hole. Don't lend her that, it'll get lost in the black hole. And I said, but you know, as I've gotten older, I've gotten better. But I said, you know, and I've told somebody this recently, it's amazing. If I had really just asked for God's help earlier, I think I wouldn't have been so scattered. And I told this story about a friend of mine's. I made friends with a family that moved from Trinidad. Our kids went to the same school, and they're very musical. And anyway, they had a special needs son, one of their 6 children, who passed away at 13. Anyway, they asked me to sing at the funeral. And it was on a Sunday afternoon. I was supposed to speak to a mother-daughter philanthropy group. Anyway, I was just trying to juggle, not forgetting my guitar, and as I was walking out the door, I thought about the father, who is my age. For his 50th birthday, everybody had made this book for his wife had put together a book, letters and all that stuff, and he'd given it to me about a month earlier because I wanted to read it. And I didn't want to lose that book, and so I was going to the door, I had my guitar on my back, and I just went, get the book. And it was so not what I was thinking. And so I went, I'm not going to get that book. Okay, I'm going to get the book. And I went and grabbed the book and got in my car. I went to spoke at this thing. And a friend met me there, and she said, are you going to Michael's funeral? And I said, I am. She said, well, it's a long drive. Let's just go together. So I said, I've got to get my guitar out of the car. I got my guitar, I slammed the door, and I'm getting in her car, and just the book came to mind. I went, hold on. I went back and got the book. We park at the church, and I'm going in. I almost leave my case in the car. It's an old church with not a lot of room, but I grabbed the case, almost closed the door, book. I grabbed the book, but it seemed so inappropriate to me. Or just bad timing. And so I get my guitar, I have the book, I sit about halfway back, and an usher comes and says, Debbie, the mom, wants you right behind her. Well, they are wailing and not having any trouble expressing their feelings and grieving, understandably. And her 2 older sons, who are the ages of my daughters, are getting up to eulogize their brother. And Deb turns around and snaps her finger and says, hand me the book. And I went, she said, the book. And I just grabbed the only book I have with me, and I hand it to her. And her sons take it up there because they wanted to read something. 3 days later, I'm checking my mailbox, my voicemail, which of course was full. No one can leave a message. And embedded in the voicemails is Deb saying, don't forget Sterling's birthday book. My sons want to read from it. And I mean, for a week I told people that story, and I said, okay, so can you believe how immediate
God's
prompting is? You know, and so that over a cup of coffee, I mean, believers, non-believers, and they went, what? You know, because to me, anything that God's doing is always so curious. What we're doing is not always fascinating.
Yeah.
But
well, Amy, you've had a #1 hit in each of the last 3 decades, and it's just exciting that you're turning your attention again to writing. We just look forward to what's coming from Amy Grant. Thank you for this lovely visit.
Thank you.